Jonathan, what do we have today?
Hi, my name is Paulo, and my question is unsurprisingly about the James Gunn announcements. So given Warner Brothers' reactionary past when it comes to some of their projects, do you think we'll see the rest of the Gods and Monsters phase, the plans released before or after some of the announced projects come out? Thank you.
For DC.
Oh, are we muted?
Are we muted?
How dare you? I would never forget to unmute you after the Mint Mobile segment.
Well, anyway, what I was saying is, after the Dark Knight trilogy that Christopher Nolan made, there was a thought that Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder would team up and they would forge a path for the DC universe. And that path included Man of Steel, which is a $225 million movie that did not gross. It grossed into the 600 millions. It did not do what they hoped it would do. And then moving on from there, we don't need to get into the whole Zack Snyder second-guessing thing, but There was David Ayer doing Suicide Squad. They second-guessed that. They brought in a trailer company to recut the movie. So DC's head honchos were very reactionary in this because they were looking over at Marvel, and everyone's looking at them going, well, how come we've got Superman and Batman. Why aren't we doing those kinds of numbers? The problem is that the executives and the filmmakers, there was a big disconnect. They didn't have a plan. They were not working synergistically the way that Kevin Feige works with his filmmakers and now works with Disney brass. They have a very good relationship. They have a machine that can make these movies. They know what they're doing. And DC didn't have that. Warner Brothers didn't have that. What James Gunn and Peter Safran were hired to do specifically was to chart a course. You have a producer in Peter Safran that has already produced the Shazam movies, the Aquaman movies, billion-dollar grossers, and he oversaw the Conjuring universe at Warner Brothers already for James Wan. That's the Conjuring movies and all the spin-offs, Annabelle Creation, The Nun, The Curse of La Llorona. I mean, all of these movies were under Peter Safran, so he has had experience with the studio running another franchise. So you have these two guys plotting a course, and their job is, and I think they did quite a good job coming up with a really interesting slate, that if you really look at what there is method to their madness, and I think we'll see it emerge. Now, whether they're going to be interfered with, look, it ain't show friends, it's show business. And if their movies, if Superman comes out, and I'll tell you right now, if it's not a $1 billion grossing movie, it's going to be a disappointment. And I think David Zaslav has rolled out the red carpet for these two entities. They've known each other for over 20 years. Peter Safran and James Gunn have a great working relationship. Gunn is coming off of two very successful Guardians movies. I think the third one is going to be successful. The Christmas special was great. Suicide Squad probably would have been much better received if it wasn't the pandemic. They love Peacemaker. He comes from the indie film world. He came from Troma. He made Slither. He made Super. So he's a filmmaker that knows how to do things on a low budget and on big budgets. Great choice. Loves comics. Peter Safran's a money guy. Makes sure big movies like Aquaman get made on time, on budget.
And our quality.
So these two guys have been given a task. No one else has ever been given this kind of task in Hollywood before. Kevin Feige made it himself. He forged that opportunity. But they have been given this opportunity by the new head of Warner Brothers. I think it could be great. I think it's going to be really interesting. And I think that, again, though, they have to deliver.
Well, I want to talk more about that.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, because Paulo really talks, too, about how they're going to pivot, right?
Right.
So let's just, wild speculation, hypothetically speaking, if they do not stick the landing on Supes, one, how do you pivot from that? Where do you go? Because that is your main entity. Really, at the end of the day, when you think Justice League, it's typically your big three. So if Superman does not stick the landing, where do you go from there? And how do you pivot from that?
That's a very good question. I mean, remember, they're going to launch with Creature Commandos, which is going to be an animated series. It's not going to cost it's going to cost $200 million to make. So they have Creature Commandos, and they're going to be developing these films in tandem. I think that they're not just going to make one Superman movie and wait and see. Here's the thing. When I worked in feature production at Warner Brothers 3 decades ago, all of the executives had to watch all of the footage that was coming in from the movies every day. I don't know if that's still the case. People probably watch them online. I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that the executives do not watch all the dailies
I'm with you.
come in every day. They don't. The responsibility level has changed at the studio level. But I think that they're going to be developing 3 or 4 movies. You got Swamp Thing, you got The Authority, you got Superman, you got Batman. I think those are the 4 that they're doing, right? No one saw that.
Thank you.
And I think they're going to know. They're going to know in the various stages of development where these movies are going to go. And James Gunn has said the best thing I think any studio filmmaker, producer could say: we are not going to make these movies until the scripts are right. That's something. There are too many tentpole properties, even movies like Gladiator. They didn't have a script. They were writing it. They were literally writing it as they made the movie. It's a miracle it turned out as well as it did. That happens way too many times on these tentpole properties. James Gunn, I mean, they're not bringing out Superman until 2025.
That's true.
They're going to get these scripts ironclad, and they're going to do parallel development. I think they're going to make these great. But they'll know. You think David Zaslav's not going to be looking at this every step of the way?
Very, very true. And I think a lot of it, too, starting with these relatively smaller projects, doing animation, television, that sort of thing, which obviously television can balloon depending on your budgets. We're going to talk a little bit more about the CW later and how some of their episodes cost $5 million to make. They're not turning profits. So I think starting on this end of the, production spectrum, though, with that level of, money going into your projects, I think that's also why things have the ability to create momentum here, because you're not putting all your eggs in one basket with these first few releases. You get to do some really quality stuff. And we've seen from DC, too, their animated things, for the most part, have been excellent. And Harley Quinn is such a wonderful example of that. A lot of the DC straight to video kind of things haven't been great, but some of them have been outstanding.
Absolutely.
So I think if you really, really play to your strengths, and as far as those animated properties go, and bring in Creature Commandos, which is a very new, exciting IP to most people, you really can do a lot there. And it provides you with that pivot room, too. If this is a little too weird, the other things don't have to stay in that same vein entirely. We can play to those genres that they seem to be working with this season.
And I also think you could see the previous administration you've got Shazam! Fury of the Gods, you have Blue Beetle, you have The Flash, which James Gunn himself has said is one of the best comic book movies ever made, and it culminates with Aquaman 2, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Think of those as a booster rocket that is launching a new this new regime. And if those films do well, and I imagine Flash and Aquaman are going to both do very well, that's a great way to bring back some excitement and give them a little bit of momentum, a little bit of push. I know it came from the previous administration, but it kind of gets people excited again, like, oh yeah, okay.
Well, and we keep being told that it's going to be serving as a catalyst to be doing that reboot.
Yep.
So it's not like we're going into it and then it's full clean slate, nothing mattered. There's going to be some kind of, and now we're going into this next almost phase, kind of how Marvel does it.
There were reshoots done on The Flash in the summer. Now, this was before this new regime was in place, but I think some of that they've caressed. I would imagine they've caressed The Flash to help that movie define how this new universe is created and how we're moving into it. So I think it's definitely something it's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the idea that I'm all about authorship and the planning and the thought that has gone into this. I'm very excited for that reason alone.
Me too. And these seem like really cool projects. But guys, are you excited about this? And how do you feel about Paolo's question here? Do you think Warner Brothers is going to just be kind of really focused on how we all react and they're going to make adjustments based on that? Or do you think they're going to stay the course and give us the lineup just as they've talked about it with us? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.
Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save money this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton, with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. Guys, I have told you before that when I was on one of the major phone carriers, I was spending literally 3 times as much every month, and switching to Mint Mobile couldn't have been easier. So for people just looking to save some extra money this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in just minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea.